On Ticker, this is Import Export with Lawrence Christophels.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us again. We've just had some great discussion with Jason Collins about all the opportunities with the EU. But it's really important to remember, and many of us saw on the news over the last week and a bit, that we've had the presidential visit from Indonesia. Joko Widodo was here, had a great discussions with Scott Morrison. There's so many opportunities that have always been there with Indonesia, but it's really starting to ramp up. There's an IECPA, the Commercial Economic Partnership Agreement coming through, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement that is being hopefully finalised very soon. And especially things like the coronavirus now that have just occurred, it highlights the importance of having other markets and other trading partners. And to join me to discuss that, really proud to say Ivan Tanjo from Navanti Holdings, one of our partners with ATLC. So thanks so much, Ivan, for coming on the show.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you. Great to be here.
Great. So much to talk about. But before we kick into Indonesia, which is all related, please tell the audience about Navanti Holdings and how you came about.
Well, Navanti Holdings is an investment company, and we've been investing in diversified businesses. And what's really interesting, the company that we've been investing is always related between Australia and Indonesia. Yeah. And I kind of see really we using that as a leverage, actually, the relationship and the positions of Australia and Indonesia. Yeah. So we invest mainly in SMEs. We push and we want to become as the like the catalyst of our entrepreneurs as well in Australia and Indonesia. And we've just established 11 Space last year. Yeah. And the purpose was we want to connect Australia to Indonesia and the Southeast Asia.
Well, you guys have really literally become the bridge between Australian SMEs and Indonesian SMEs.
Thank you. Yes, that's what we're trying to do. We want to become the gateway to the Asia for Australian company to access to Indonesia. Yeah. And I believe Indonesia is the main gate to the Southeast Asia. Yeah. You get Indonesia, you get Southeast Asia.
Well, that's it. It's such a huge market. It's untapped.
Huge
we've
market.
Talked about this before.
Yes.
There's the opportunities are endless. Even the demographic of the aging population, the younger generation coming through. Yes. So very different to some of the other markets.
That's right.
Where they are looking for new technology. They want to have new, young, innovative partners and products.
Yes. We've been enjoying the benefits with the Indonesian and Australia relationships. For example, we have commercial kitchen appliance manufacturing it's an Australian brand. It's been here around for more than 60 years. Wow. One of the best and the largest here in Australia. And we came into partnership about 9 years ago, and we went to Indonesia. And yes, we've been manufacturing all the mass productions there. Yeah. But again, all the R&D, we still have our factory here in Australia. Yeah. The R&D is still done in Australia, the research and then the customizations. But it works so well. Yeah. So now we export back to Australia. Yeah. But not just that, but now we can enjoy the market of Indonesia, which is 270 million people.
And that's the thing. I mean, there's so many companies who, when you say offshoring, and yes, it does hurt some companies. We look at what's happened with Holden just this week alone. But the reality is that whether we like it or not, Australia is part of global supply chains, and we need to embrace that. We are part of global economies. We can't be thinking that we're back in the past where we have to be, secular. And this is where the opportunities are both ways. And that's what people forget, is that, as you said, the manufacturing is done in Indonesia, but that also, by the way it's done in Indonesia, opens up more opportunities for those same R&D, new companies.
That's right, yeah. We also work a lot with the Indonesian governments, and they are very supportive, and I think we came in line with their visions and what they're trying to achieve between Australia and Indonesia. Yeah,
well, you've touched on the two governments. We've got the IECPA in progress, and I think everyone's eagerly anticipating that to be signed off and ratified. Yeah. What do you think that means, Ivan, for once that sort of that happens, that really clears the way, doesn't it, for so many both countries?
It means a lot. Even since last year, we've been trying. This news has been a big news, right? A lot of people approach us, our company, and they want to come into Australian markets. We gaining a lot of interest for Indonesian companies wanting to invest in Australia, and vice versa, Australian company wanting to go to Indonesia. I think this is very crucial in the relationships. I mean, we have 70 years of relationship in the country between the two countries, and yet we're not the top 10 trading partners, right? So this is really what we want to achieve. I think being a neighbor, it should, me and my neighbor, even if I need a saucepan, I'll knock on their
that's
door.
it.
And
Yeah.
I think Australia and Indonesia should be like that.
Yeah. And I think what's also evolved is that so many younger Indonesians have come to Australia, they've studied, they've learnt about business, they've made
Yes.
relationships, and now they've gone back to Indonesia.
That's right.
And they can see that, okay, there's so many great business opportunities, commercial investment
Yes.
opportunities.
That you touch a really good point there. I mean, I think we Indonesians send a lot of students here. I think that we're number 2. Australia is the number 2 destination in the whole Indonesian education exports. And yes, from there they grew they fond of Australia. They fall in love with Australia and the country and the city.
Yeah.
And the good thing, a lot of our business is related to that sector.
Yeah.
So we do property development here in Australia, and we sell a lot. Actually, we put a lot of money. We bring a lot of money from Indonesia that we invest into Australian assets. And that's because of the kids are here and the parents getting to know and their shops, right?
That's right. And
That's what we
Australia is a
want.
very strong, stable, trusted economy.
Yes, and that's one of the probably the main reason why Indonesians want to invest money in Australia. I mean, we moved like more than $500 million in the last 10 years from Indonesia, and that's really shows like Australia has this really good benefits for Indonesia.
I touched on the coronavirus as part of the intro. I mean, what it's done is pretty much, if you look at that analogy, having all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. So many Australian companies have outsourced to China over the last decades, and they've known there's other markets, and there are other markets for manufacturing and outsourcing that have taken place and have started to come through. But to me, I see so many, countries that now we should be looking at from a point of view of risk mitigation and supplier contingencies as well, which is made evident by the coronavirus. Indonesia, as you said, Ivan, it is that doorway to the whole ASEAN.
Yes.
So that it's one massive market in its own right, but as a portal to that ASEAN market, it's just phenomenal. So
that's right. I agree with you, Lawrence. That's why we as Navanti and 11 Space, we try to become the facilitator for that to happen. And this is not just a space where people work, but it's a business center, it's a business hub where
I can vouch for that. We're housed at 11 Space, so we're very proud to be part of 11 Space.
We are so happy to be your partner too. That's why I think what we're doing is so in line in what you're doing, and then we're in this together, and we try to provide that facilitation, that pathway to make these things happen easier.
Yeah, well, that's the main
within the
difference with 11 Space and other co-working. Co-working, they're great, they're co-working environments, but what's so different is that the 11 Space is an incubator in its very essence. You just happen to have multiple companies being incubated at the same time.
That's right. And a lot of, as you know, a lot of our members within our space, they now, we open their doors to Asia now. They start wanting to do manufacturing in Indonesia, they want to do, they want to penetrate the market, they will start selling their products to Indonesia and vice versa. Coming back to the coronavirus issue, I think it's so important now that we don't just look at China probably, which is the main destination, fair enough. A lot of the Southeast Asia country, I think they need to do their homework as well, right? To be up there. But I think we are working so hard. We're working so hard, and I can see now, being the person who experienced running manufacturing in Indonesia, I think we've grown so fast, and so we're at the different level now. I think we're more than ready to embrace ISAPA now.
Absolutely. I think it's a really important slogan, which Australia and Indonesia, the time is now. It's really the perfect opportunity to build those networks, build the relationships.
That's right.
And that's one of the challenges that Australian companies have faced with Indonesia, is that how do you navigate the relationships? They are a little bit culturally different. Indonesians have had the benefit of coming here and studying, though the age demographic around maybe our age or a bit younger have gone back now. They're owning businesses, managing businesses.
That's right.
So they understand Australia better than we understand Indonesia. This is why it's so important what you're doing with Navanti, and I want you to talk about the new April launch of the new venture.
Yes, on April, somewhere on April, we're opening our space, our business hub in Jakarta, the 11 Space Jakarta. It's going to be twice the size that we have in Collins.
Fantastic.
And again, same thing, we connect Australia. This is the purpose, the sole purpose is to connect both countries. And we want to navigate. See, a lot of people don't know what to do. If they want to come to Indonesia, but they might not know what to do. and where to go. So we try to become their tour guides, and we provide advisory of how you can do that. You're part of it.
Yeah.
And we provide advisory for these companies, and then we help them to prototype and also to execution,
Yeah.
for execution as well.
Yeah.
So
Nothing beats, and I know the government do some great jobs there as well with
Oh, yeah.
landing pads and so forth.
we need to
Yeah,
have
and
the
you
partnership
guys,
with them.
yeah, that's right. But you still need that that cultural relationship and the contacts in
That's right.
on the ground.
Underground
Yeah.
is yes, I guess because we have the experience before even we create the business hub. We had like more than a decade of experience really running a business on the ground. It's all about like do the hard yards on the ground, right? And what's exciting is next week I'm flying to Indonesia, and we are planning to sign MOU with the Ministry of Cooperation, the Ministry of SME of Indonesia.
Great.
So that will connect both of us to Indonesians or any SMEs who wants to explore Australian market. They're
Well,
gonna go
one of
to
the
us.
things, I know it's a question without notice, but one of the things I've been meaning to chat with you about, Ivan, is I think collaboratively we should put together a doing business in Indonesia workshop where Australian SMEs
that.
can actually come along to the Levin Space, do a half day or full day workshop around, okay, what are the cultural nuances, what are the geographical and
That's
supply
right.
chain
That's a
nuances?
good idea.
And that gives them a bit of a heads up about what they need to understand and expect.
That's right. I really like that. I think we should plan really.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So apart from the ISE, but hopefully that's happening really well. What are the sectors? I know that you've talked to manufacturing for furniture.
Yes.
Food and bev's always a strong one for Australian exports.
F&B.
F&B, yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other sectors like that you see emerging between the two countries, both bilateral and investment as well?
Well, from Indonesia, I think it's from the people who approach us. We were approached by a large tea plantation, tea companies who want to curate a tea product in Australia.
Beautiful, yeah.
And then we have wood, timber from Indonesia, a couple of them, furniture companies, even product like food. Snacks and even bubble tea and stuff like that. It's very interesting. It's very diverse. People who's now opened their eyes and they told me like, Navanti, help me. We want to go to Australia. And vice versa. I think quite a few Australian companies comes to us. And again, obviously the benefits are different between the two countries. But a lot of the Australian companies who approach us mainly want to do lean manufacturing and productions and access to bigger market for their product and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I think that the manufacturing outsourcing is growing astronomically. I think the challenge about picking which country to do that. If you look at, again, hopefully once the ISEPA is ratified, that opens that opportunity as well, because companies can, they get money out of the country. The repatriation of funds has been up until now a little bit challenging. So making sure, how do you set up an entity over there? So it's all those legal frameworks that become hard to navigate. And that's the thing. Exactly what you've just said. Been there, done that is what most SMEs, you think, oh, this is it's going to be quite daunting. Maybe I could look at another market where it's a little bit easier.
That's right.
But
that is why I can testify now, because been there, done that. That was like 9 years ago. I saw how hard was it, all the process and everything. But now it's very different. I think the president they've done a really great job now.
I think
making everything, trying to facilitate everything to happen. And looking what the visit a few weeks ago, I think both of our leaders have agreed that they want to do this.
Economically, culturally, there's so many synergies.
Makes sense,
that's
right? It so makes sense.
No, fantastic. Ivan, always a pleasure to chat with you. I'm delighted to have you on the show. And
Thank you.
We'll have you on as a regular, as you know, as our Indonesian expert.
Thank you.
And definitely encourage all the companies to get along to Levin Space, meet yourself and the whole diverse, it's like a melting pot of SMEs there with so many diverse businesses, including ours. So, really proud to be part of that.
Thank you. Thanks
so much, Ivan. Well, we'll look forward to chatting more with Ivan in the coming months and weeks as the ISEPA becomes hopefully ratified soon. Maybe even do a live show from the new office in Jakarta in April. Something we can think about.
That would be good. And you will fly there with us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ivan. So join us after the break. We've talked about Europe, talked about Indonesia. Now it's an important one coming up with Kevin Leong from LendCap after the break, all about business cash flow and how to make the most of your finances. So stick around. We'll see you after this break.